We're ready to get started. Thanks so much for coming up with this. How many of you have been to the Twin Cities Drupal camp before? Oh, wow, there's a good handful of you. I came a few years ago, so I'm glad to be back. And I'm really excited that the theme is accessibility this year, which is really, really cool, and I love to see that there's some interest and attention around this space and that we're here. This is not going to be a technical talk. It's more about the user experience and the business needs around accessibility. So if you're looking for a technical talk, you may be disappointed. And I will be offended if you walk out. But it's going to be more about the user experience, and I'm going to have some screen recorded demos, thanks to the gentleman in the audience who helped me get hooked up with the audio. And hopefully learn about how everybody on a project team can come together to advance accessibility. And I'm also going to be touching upon what Drupal 8 has done for accessibility out of the box and some of the efficiencies in place. Really exciting things that are going on. I recently gave this talk at DrupalCon in New Orleans, and so I may be a little rusty, but I think we'll get there. So I hope I know how to do this. Okay, I think I do. So my co-presenter, David Spire, wasn't able to make it today, but he's one of my colleagues at Base 2, and we're both on the experience team. And what that means is that we really help on the business processes and the business tools and identify our clients' business needs and goals and requirements and work with our developers on them, and then also evaluate the development. That's a little bit about me. I've always been very passionate about website technology. I was born hearing, but I lost my hearing to meningitis when I was 8 months old. Became profoundly deaf, and my parents really wanted me to get as many opportunities as they could. So they implanted me with a cochlear implant when I was just 3. I was part of an FDA study with the youngest kid in the country to get it, and it worked. And I was able to receive sound and then be able to begin to learn to listen and talk. And so I've been a technology pioneer for my whole life. And so I've always been looking for ways to make the experience unified rather than separate. This really kind of came to be when I was in Washington, D.C. a few years ago with my family. And I have a degree in art history from McNally University, so I love museums. And my family went to the National Gallery, and they had an audio tour. And I was playing devil's advocate. And I said, hey, I'm deaf. I can't really use an audio tour. Would you have for me? They handed me a 50-page transcript. It was like walking with a phone book. And it was just really awkward. This was 2005. And everybody in the gallery had an iPod. And it looked really cool. And I was like, shoot, I wish I had a vision. Like an iPod wouldn't be cool like this. And all the iPods all the time I video, And I said, you know what? I can take this transcript and I can create a video version of it. And I can put captions on it. Somebody else can sign it. And I can create an accessible video tour. And that I can enjoy on an iPod with my family. So I tried that very thing that night. Went home. And I borrowed my roommate's iPod, and I created my own tour. And went to the gallery the next day, and I said, hey, you gave me a 50-page transcript yesterday, but I did this instead. Could you do something like this? And they said, we would, but no one offers it. So I said, all right, so maybe I'll offer it. And I spent 5 years running a startup doing audio tours at museums. And so through that process, I had some people from Gallaudet University, which is a deaf university in Washington, D.C., come and do a pilot at the gallery. I had about 300 deaf students come, and I had a whole tour ready for them. But what was more striking were the hearing people who came up to me and said, hey, is that a tour on an iPod? I'd rather take that than use an audio tour that hundreds of people have used that day. They wanted to do something that was cool. So all of a sudden, my accessibility thing was hip and cool. I was like, wow, okay. So it kind of got me to thinking, like, these principles of universal design and, like, creating tools and technologies and processes that are just not about creating a separate experience, but also apply to a greater audience. And really, this is how I approach accessibility in all of my projects in phase 2 is what can be done for accessibility that improves the experience for everybody else. And so, how many of you like to use shortcuts when you're like in a suitcase from the airport when you are shopping cart full of groceries? And when you're using those, and you're thinking, I'm so grateful that they have these for people with wheelchairs. I doubt it. You're probably thinking, oh, I'm glad these are for me. These are easy on me. I think that's the perception. And then also, we're not a sports bar, and you're trying to watch a football game, closed captions. Do you enjoy them? Do you find them annoying? I mean, there's a lot of boys going on. I hope not. No, they're beneficial. And that's a little bit about me and why. So I stopped doing that startup about 5 years ago. I came to phase 2 because I'm really wanting to continue that technology impact. And I really do a lot of these websites at phase 2. It's been a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. I'm also a big fan of CrossFit, golf, and cooking, and have a great dog. So, and I'm from Washington, D.C. So, kind of some quick stats. There's 285 million people in the world with a visual impairment. And then there's 360 million people in the world with hair loss. Some kind of degree, mild hair loss or deafness. Combined, that's more than the population of the United States, is more than the population of the European Union, minus one country, more than the population of South America. So it's a pretty significant number we're talking about here. If you think about it, it's not just a niche audience. It's more people than we think. 1 in 10 people need some kind of accommodation. Website companies can't really make the argument that blind users don't visit the website, but I just know we have 40 of that. It's not like they can track screen readers that visit a browser. And so accessibility isn't as obvious as we think it is. It could also be a temporarily disabling condition. Think about a 16-year-old who, the daredevil on his skateboard, falls off and breaks both wrists. He's going to have to use the keyboard to navigate a website. Can the website actually be navigable with a keyboard? And those are things you have to think about. My dad, 3 years ago, had a cerebral hematoma, and his cognitive functions were limited. Using the websites were very difficult because you couldn't really follow, and it was just overly complex. A lot of words and a lot of links, a lot of touch points. But he's fine now. But it was really interesting to watch those patterns and see, there's so many different variables: physical, mental, cognitive, and visual. And then we're thinking about people as aging Americans may have Parkinson's and hand tremors, can't control the mouse. And that's an important consideration because of a link target. Not having one-word links, but using buttons as links is another usability thing to have considerations. And so 1 in 10 people need some kind of accommodation. So we're not just talking about people like me on the extreme end of the spectrum. Let me take a drink of water. People who are interacting with the website through accessible means tend to do it the same way as the Google search engine does, algorithmically. And so they have all of the structures in place. And those structures in place are the same structures that are used for user with screen readers. And so It's not just about, the design, the layout. It's about pairing those two together. Accessibility best practices are also SEO best practices. So, that's kind of a way to get some SEO consultation for free. If you implement accessibility, it'll also help with SEO. When you have accessibility best practices, it neither helps nor hurts SEO and vice versa. But if you have good accessibility standards in place, SEO is more than likely going to be enhanced. I'm going to go over a few myths about accessibility over the next few minutes. The main myth we hear a lot is accessibility reduces design options. They think it means going to black and white text, only text, and not having any color. Well, that's a myth. But it does play a role, and it does reduce design options. But it throws out bad design options. So let me repeat that again. Accessibility throws out bad design decisions. So that is one thing that accessibility design can do. It can prevent those bad decisions from happening. I had a client who a colleague of mine was working on. They just could not get past low contrast. He kept saying, hey, the site doesn't have enough contrast. And then down the road, they realized they needed to do accessibility. And then I came on, whether the site isn't high enough contrast, boom, just like that, they fixed it. But it's too bad. He bought for 5 months. It took me a day. So, think about it. Save a lot of trouble. In one area of accessibility design is color contrast. We see this a lot. This is one of my co-presenters' personal favorites is color blindness, but it impacts us a lot more than we think. So we've got an image of color pencils. This is what it looks like with normal vision. And this is what it looks like to someone who is red blind. And as you can see, it's lost some of its distinction. You can't really tell the difference in color between this pencil, or this pencil, or this pencil. And I'm just going to go back and show you what it looks like. So you can see how there's slightly different shades of green. That's going to be a problem if you have two buttons of different shades of green. And they're not going to be able to tell the difference. And then this is blue blind, another very difficult way of distinguishing color. This is red weak. And this is monochromatic. This is the most stereotypical form of color blindness, but it's actually the least common form of color blindness. So this is just one of the many variations of color blindness. What I hope that will take away from what I just showed you is color blindness is much wider than we think it is. Red-green color blindness. And so, if you are working on a website and you get designs from a designer, run it through a color blindness simulator. There's many of them out there. You can use Photoshop. You can use this codeless color blindness simulator. And you can just plug in the image and you'll scan it and it'll let you know if the colors are high or low in contrast. It's really helpful. And if they fail, the designs aren't finished, send them back to the designer and say, hey, we need to boost the contrast. And so that's another really basic thing that is not technical that you can do with accessibility. And it's just an example of how it starts from the beginning. 4.5% of the world is colorblind. It's not a third world problem. You don't catch it. It's genetic. There's no, some people have it and some people don't. 0.5% of that population are women. You may recall from the high school biology, more people with color blindness are males. So 8% of that population are men. So it's pretty significant, 8%. If you are designing a website that has a male-centric audience, that is like a sports website, that is not colorblind friendly, you are literally throwing money away because you are turning those visitors away from your site. That is the loss in advertising revenue potential for the sponsors. High color contrast makes it easier to view under bright sunlight. Mobile phones, we're on them all the time. I am when I'm waiting in line for lunch at the food truck. I'm on my phone. And high contrast makes a difference. If we're under bright sunlight, it's going to be really hard to see with the glare. But if it's high contrast, you can see it. And so Amy did a site for the Olympics 2008, and it was black and white text. It was the highest possible contrast, which is great, so we were able to really easily see it very well. Another thing that we see a lot are text over images. We see this all the time on homepage rotators. The designers may design it perfectly with the perfect background image and the perfect text. And then you hand it over to content editors. They may put a light image under white text, and then it becomes inaccessible. So you can't always expect that everybody will do the right image to correspond with the correct contrast. So there's a compromise. Can you change the color text? Could you add a background gradient? Could you do certain things to safeguard from little mistakes like these? So you can make a compromise. You can have this gradient. So, would you agree that's easier to see than nothing at all? So just pay attention to those kind of things. There's a lot of different ways you can put up those guardrails. Theme customization. In Vertex, which is a theme that comes in Drupal, they actually achieve the optimal color contrast, and we're looking to get up something quickly. I recommend using Vertex. But I also wanted to point out another color contrast checker that I find really useful. It's called the Recad Color Contrast Checker. It's in Firefox, but there's also a Chrome version. Literally, what you can do is you can put it as a shortcut, and you open it, and it opens up the sidebar, and it scans the whole page, and then it puts a little outline around the inaccessible elements for you to evaluate. For example, this Contact Us, light blue on white, didn't have the optimal color contrast. And you can see right here, it's 3.2, and it doesn't quite match. It's a small font. You may need to boost the font to make it a little bigger, or change the color. And I think it's a really useful tool. And then there's another nice color contrast ratio that you can use on GitHub. LEAVERU. You can plug in color contrast ratios. If a designer is a person back, I don't know how to test. You can send them to this, and they can plug those in, foreground and background. So as a color contrast recap, take note of text color over the images. What kinds of colors are you using? Are you giving them color options? Or are you providing a background gradient or a background image color? Avoid low color contrast. Try to avoid light gray on white. And think about font weight. Font weight actually makes a difference. It can, if you're using a dark gray, thin on white, that's not going to be as easy to see as thick light gray on white. I mean, we can look like this as an example. The thicker orange is heavier and achieves contrast. So Another myth is alt text doesn't make a difference. Really? Well, okay. Alt text kind of started because the internet speeds are too slow to download images. Think about when you were on a rural area on a motorcycle and you pulled up an image, this is what you would see. So that's kind of where alt text started, but it's also an accessibility thing. This is another example of what I mean as accessibility serving multiple audiences. So it also helps SEO. Google can't read images, but they certainly can read the alt text. So that's another great argument that you can make for think about accessibility. Adding the keywords into the alt text really helps to SEO. You'll literally describe the image to Google and to people who can't see the image. Accessibility is something that everybody's doing. Like one of our clients, Twitter, they started doing image descriptions. And you can post a photo on Twitter, and if you enable a setting on those settings, you will get this ad description. This makes it very easy for you to add a description. It doesn't impact the character count of a tweet. It just adds a description to the image. So like this example, a field of wildflowers with hills in the background and clouds overhead is the description of the image. I thought it was really interesting that Twitter calls this image descriptions instead of alt text. Image description is a much more, I think, approachable way for people to understand what they need to do. An outsider may not understand what alt text means, but image description describes it so much better. Facebook also came out with this. Has anybody seen what Facebook is doing with the images for people who are blind? This is pretty cool. And it's automatically using artificial intelligence to describe the image, like pizza, or food, or family, outdoors, to give the user just a little bit of context to understanding what people are talking about in those comments. Comment will be like, oh, it looks like a great night with the family. But what does a great night with the family mean? They could be in the park, they could be on the beach, or if you describe pizza, they can kind of tell, oh, they must have been at a restaurant eating pizza. So, so everybody's doing it, including Drupal 8. So one of our designers at Phase 2 kind of took the Drupal 8 logo and made some glasses and kind of like made an accessible version. So I think it's pretty fun. So I think that's our new accessible Drupal 8 guy. In Drupal 8, the alt text field is now a required field. So that's something that's new. So whenever you upload an image, you can see the red asterisk under alternate text. I'm going to do a little video of a screen reader reading alt text to give you a sense of what it sounds like. I hope I can play this from here.
See the profile of a panda showing on bamboo song as two visitors watched from background image.
What do you see? I hope you saw a panda. Instead of me just saying panda, what's the context of the panda? Is it the panda in the wild? Is it the panda in a cage? But it's a panda in the zoo. And I said see the profile of a panda chewing on a bamboo stalk as zoo visitors look on. I'm going to play that one more time. Okay.
See the profile of a panda showing on bamboo stalk as two visitors watched from background image.
So you can see the panda seated, chewing, and then zoo, but in the background. So one of the problems with alt text by default is people may add dummy text in it. They may copy the title of the image in this field. This is actually not very helpful at all. This hurts SEO opportunities actually, and it confuses users who are blind. Like, what's going on here? But alt text isn't as hard to write as you think it is. The way that got me over the hump is, I think of it like a tweet. If you think of this image, how would you tweet it? In 140 characters. I had an image of a pickup truck for a service company, and it was going through the snow in a forest. And how am I going to communicate this image? Well, think about why the marketer picked that image. They're clearly trying to communicate that through rain, sleet, or snow, we are going to serve our customers. And so I created this image, and I said, a corporate pickup truck driving on an ungroomed roadway through the woods. So when you hear that at the screen reader, you kind of get the emotion and the context surrounding that image instead of just pickup truck going on a roadway. It's an entirely different meaning than ungroomed roadway. So you can do a fun exercise. I want you to try to describe this image. So on your computers, go to Twitter, /C McNally. It's the very top tweet that I have. It's a link to a Google form that I would love for you to fill out and write your own description of this image. This is an image for a disaster relief agency. How would you describe this image in 140 characters? I also have a white paper for accessibility that is coming out today. Our creative team just finishing it up. And if you're interested in getting one, please include an email address so I can send it to you tonight when I get home. I'm going to give you about 3 minutes or a minute to write the text. Did anybody have questions on what we're doing? All right, so think about why a marketer may have picked this image for a disaster relief agency. And then they're anonymous, and I have a Google spreadsheet going with all of the responses. So it's going to be really interesting to see what we all come up with. And by giving me a thumbs up if you're in a good place. No? Okay. Here's my Twitter if you need it. Two young girls looking distraught as they stand in front of store mobile. Two children standing alone in front of a devastated home. Two young girls in the foreground of a natural disaster with a disaster wreckage in the background. Two little girls in playful outfits, but with worn expressions, looking worn and standing in front of a completely destroyed building. So that's really good. Two girl children standing before a severely damaged building rubble image. You don't need to write image because the screen reader announces image for you, so there's no need to write down the alt text. Two young girls standing in front of wreckage of a structure. It's closed, but there's the emotion is missing. Two young girls looking saddened, standing next to a pallet bubble. That's really good. That's really good. Two girls walking from directly to the house. No, we're getting this. This is great. You capture the emotion of what it is about these girls standing in front of a torn down home. We don't know if it's their house. So you did a good job of generalizing the building. Destroyed was a good way of using to describe the image. That it's a destroyed home, not just a home. The home could still be standing. So you did a good job of those. I like two young girls gaze upon the aftermath of the destroyed home, row 68. Row 65, young girls are overwhelmed amidst the rubble of a destroyed building. It's also pretty good. That was great. Thanks for participating in that. I hope you enjoyed it. Gave a sense of using alt text. Go ahead.
So this is the counter in me. By entering in what you perceive, I mean, aren't you injecting your own emotion into writing that as opposed to just describing what you see? I mean, this wreckage might be something that's totally normal in the neighborhood. They're just walking to the park to have a good time, to meet up with their family. It just so happens this stuff is along the way.
Yeah.
that it might be there might be a bulldozer off to the side and somebody's just demolishing their house in order to build a new one.
Right. That's a very good point. But the context I provided earlier is a disaster relief agency.
Yeah.
That is providing this image.
Yeah.
So that kind of gives you the context to what the image is being described. If this were an image for a bobcat, the text may be very different. Bobcat prowess, is great. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, in this context, the purpose of that image is to move someone to emotion.
Right.
If they can't see the image, the alt text is your opportunity to move them to that same emotion.
Right.
So,
Right.
I mean, I think that you would want that to be an incredibly emotional.
A lot of times, though, when we're using images, it's just eye candy on a particular page, and that you
Which is bad design.
that if it was part, but
Right.
I totally agree that use, if you're going to, I always tell folks, if you're going to use a picture, it needs to be, you just can't just have a picture of a smiling face. It's got to have something that's complementary to whatever's going on there. But sometimes it's just, you're not trying to convey any sort of...
Well, which is okay. You can, if you're not trying to tug at the heartstrings of somebody to donate money to disaster relief, and you're just trying to say, two smiling kids running through the park, that's still a little bit of emotion, but you want to be able, why even post that image in the first place? Not trying to add some visual language to the image.
My users would say why you would post that image, because just having text there looks so boring.
Okay, so then you got me. I'm going to go back to the presentation. If I can find it. Great, cool. All right, that was great. As a recap, in Drupal 8, alt text is now a required field. The impact is better SEO. The images are designed for people who are blind. Avoid copying title text. Avoid nonsensical text. So put symbols, punctuation, spaces. Use keywords. Use short descriptive phrases, like the Twitter example we just went through. Another myth is accessibility breaks the budget. It's too expensive. Well, alt text, that's free, right? Using the color design simulator is free. It's only expensive if you don't do anything about it in the beginning. There's a lot of tools out there that make accessibility very efficient. One thing is closed captions and subtitles. There are many many free tools out there that allow for you to caption video files. But captions are also very important. They give context to the images when people can't hear them. You know, I couldn't hear a sad beep, but I know it's a sad beep when it's typed out for me. Just like solving mathematics. So, YouTube actually makes this very easy for us. YouTube has automatic captioning tools available. You can literally, it will caption everything for you automatically, which is huge but it's not accurate. And that's when you come in. You can actually edit those caption files. But what makes YouTube so great is that it creates time codes for you. It's the time code that is the most labor-intensive process. You can actually just take the automatic and literally edit it. I took my entire same presentation I'm giving right now a month ago and captioned the whole thing very quickly and with no cost, and uploaded it to YouTube. And I was able to give them the caption file, and then it became more searchable, more accessible, and people were able to view it just like me on the plane last night when I was trying to remember what I was talking about. I just read the captions without bothering the passengers. I also posted a whole blog on this, on how to do it. I tweeted this, so it's like the second tweet. If you want to check it out, I have the instructions on how I was able to do these captions. Subtitles are also great for silent autoplay. 65% of the Facebook videos are viewed from a mobile device. And ever since I heard that, I can't not see it on my mobile device. The captions are there, and it's awesome. Because when I be scrolling through my news feed, if I see a video captioned, I stop to look at it, and as you probably do too. So it creates higher conversion, and more people pay attention. Do leverage YouTube automatic captioning. You can download and edit the auto captioning file. You can actually upload the video to your own private account, caption it, download the transcript, and give it to somebody else, which is how I did it for the Drupal Association. I have those instructions on the site. Headings. You all know about these. Headings is a huge thing for accessibility. You know, this is a structure that many content editors will use and on the site. It's not about using headings for stylistic purposes. It is organizing the page into structures that make sense for a screen reader. So, and it really divides the site into scannable blocks. A lot of times a screen reader uses keyboard shortcuts to scan the headings on a page. If you have H1 on the top, H1 in the middle, they're like, what's going on? Because H1 is the title, usually the title, or if you're not using a title tag, H2 are the main, and then H3 is often the subheadings or the sidebar. And if you want to do them for stylistic purposes, if you want to make something really big, to change the class, add a class to CSS file. I'm going to show you an example of an accessible Drupal 8 site that I didn't do any development for. I just used Pantheon, spun up a site, and just used the basic stuff. And I did not mess with the headings. But I want to show you how accessible it was out of the box.
Heading level 1, first article on my accessible Drupal site. Heading level 2, first heading. Heading level 2, another heading. Heading level 3, subheading. Heading level 2, heading. Heading level 2, search. Heading level 2, footer menu.
So that was the site I just made. So it made everything proper. First heading is my H2, another heading is my H2, subheading was my H3. So I didn't skip anything. And then avoid use of headings for styling, avoid skipping of headings, This part is really when you come up with the content editors on in the WYSIWYG. This is where a lot of the heading violations come in place. Another really easy thing, really inexpensive way to keep a site accessible is making sure that the content editors are trained on using headings.
Okay, what do you mean by avoid use of headlines for styling?
Okay, so a lot of times H2, let me go back. Shoot. A lot of times,
Heading level 1, first article on my accessible Drupal site. Heading level 2, first heading. Heading level 2, another heading. Heading level 3, subheading. Heading level 2, heading. Heading level 2, search. Heading level 2, footer menu.
so do you notice how the font is a little bit bigger than this one? So a content editor may want to call out more prominence, like a phone number. They call this number. They may need to H2 to make the phone number really big. And that's not the correct use of a heading.
Okay.
So if you want to make the phone number really big and really prominent, you will need the paragraph style, but you add a class to make the text really big.
Okay. I understand. Thank you.
All right, links. I'm gonna fly through these because I have some things I want to show you. Links is another really easy thing to do. A lot of times, it's another thing that doesn't cost money. The thing that bugs me, read more. I'm going to show you what that means. So, if you see this, I have here, read more, click here, here. That's literally how the screen reader is going to read them. And if you can't see the page, how the heck are you going to know where that link is going to take you? So,
Leading list. Link. Here. You are currently on a link. Link. Here. Link. Click here. Link. Read more. Link. Here. Link. Read more. You are currently on a link inside of the group. Voiceover off.
so you're going to click on a link and hope for the best, right? That's not what we want. You can actually make this better. You can actually add context to the link in the WYSIWYG. You can say article and then title, if you wanted to write it out. Or you say reserve your tickets now, would be the link. Contact AdWord would be the link. Instead of very vague things. And if you have links around the general sections of the page, you can actually use the CSS class to repeat the title, but it's not visible to the sighted user. So you can actually see, like if you're on a blog, teaser, and it says read more in the bottom, it will actually repeat the name of the blog title, so that they have context to what they're scanning through. But I'm going to go ahead and play this demo.
List. Link. Article. Panda Cup Award in Washington, D.C. Link. By I Loves Playing in the Snow. You are currently on a link. Link. Order tickets today. You are currently on a link. Voiceover off.
That sounds a little better than read more, right? So this is all simply the WYSIWYG. It's just about making the links more contextually relevant. Like order tickets today. Article, Panda Cup born in Washington, D.C. D.C. loves the pandas. So avoid here and click here. You know, writing the links and use descriptive links. Another myth is all or nothing. That is absolutely a myth. Accessibility is a journey, it's not a destination. It's about an iterative process, constantly checking. Just because you hand over a site that's accessible doesn't mean it's going to stay that way. As you just saw, the content editor may change the headings. They may change the colors. But I'm getting ready to go into some Drupal 8 stuff. But I want to just kind of take a minute to thank the Drupal accessibility group. I think a few of them here. I know Mike Gibbers here at the Twin Cities Drupal Camp, but they've done a lot of work to get some of these accessibility things into Drupal core, Drupal 8 core. So I want to show you what they are. Some of the improvements that I think have really come a long way. One of them is search. It's not new in Drupal 8, but there's a few things that have been improved for search, like radios in groups, and the form API has been made accessible. It's important to make search and forms in general friendly for screen reader. I also posted a blog post on writing the acceptance criteria for an accessibility need. I'm not a developer, which I think is to my advantage. I write the acceptance criteria from the perspective of a non-developer. So, for a screen reader, I can understand the label. I understand the field. I understand what the button does. So, there's a distinction of actually labeling the button. Instead of this button, search. A lot of times we'll have buttons that have no description. I'm going to show you. You're going to be able to see this. But this is my Drupal site and how I use search. I'm going to play this a couple of times to kind of give you a sense.
Search, edit text. Enter the terms you wish to search for. You are currently on a text field inside of a form. To enter text in this field, type. To exit this group, press Ctrl, Option, Shift, Up, and Search button. You are currently on a button inside of a form. To click this button, press Ctrl, Option, Space. To press Search button. Search.
That makes a little sense, right? You heard them say, enter text in the search form. That gives the screen reader context of what kind of form they're in. Instead of saying enter text. Enter text for what? It could be a lottery ticket, it could be anything. So adding a label and a description to that text field is hugely important. And the button, if they ever click on the button, what's it going to do? A button can be anything. A button can be to buy something. A button can be to search for something. So making sure that the user is keenly aware of what they're clicking on is very important. I want to go to that again.
Search, edit text. Enter the terms you wish to search for. You are currently on a text field inside of a form. To enter text in this field, type. To exit this group, press Ctrl, Option, Shift, Up, and Search button. You are currently on a button inside of a form. To click this button, press Ctrl, Option, Space. To press Search button. Search.
All right. That helped? So it's pretty interesting. And the importance of labeling the forms properly is huge. But Drupal 8 has done that for you. But if you do change them, which we often do, make sure you keep in those contexts. Those contextual cues are very important. Form accessibility out the box, the labels have been there in Drupal 7, so nothing changed. The radios and checkboxes have been improved. Inline form errors, which I will go over in a minute. Even modify the forms. Display the form label. Don't hide the label. That's not helpful. Make sure that you can actually get to the field through keyboard navigation. Label is announced before the input. It doesn't make sense to have the label after the input because they don't know where they're going to be entering. Make sure you actually tell them what kind of input is expected. Text, selection. And buttons for action. Let them know what they're doing when they click on that button. Submit, search, cancel, that kind of thing. Field sets. You've got radio to checkboxes, screen reader awareness, user keyboard is improved, and a better user experience. Landmarks. How many of you are familiar with landmarks? Alright. So, landmarks is a newer thing coming out for people screen readers to quickly scan a page. The old way was through the headings. Scanning the page through headings. But landmarks is now available out of the box in Drupal 8. You can identify the page regions. Landmarks, there's about 8 of them. It's banner, main, sidebar, complementary, footer, something like that. It's documented. But those mean something to a screen reader. Because they're like, I want to go to the main menu. They click on banner. and that takes them to the header of the page. Or if they're like, I want to know what I only want to go to the main, so they don't have to click skip to main or go through an entire menu of links. They can just go straight to main. I'm going to show you how that's done. It's a supplement to the structural HTML, and this is a landmarks menu that a screen reader will pull up. Of course, the users cannot see this, but this is what a screen reader announces to them. And when they're on those levels, they can click on it and it will take them straight to that section of the site. And it's their way of scanning.
Home, landmarks menu. Site header with 3 items. Banner. User account menu, widget, main navigation, heading level 1, heading level 2, visited, link, heading level 1, heading level, footer menu, powered by, visit footer menu, heading level 2, search, group, with 2 items. Heading level 2, search, you are currently on heading level, visited, link, visited, link, visit, link, search button. You are currently on the button, inside of a form.
That would probably be overwhelming, I understand. But it's not to a screen reader. This is how they go through a site. And they have all those contacts in place. They know how to use those landmarks to get to where they need to be quickly. That's what we all like to do things quickly.
Home.
Alright. Skip navigations, proper tabbing order, structure all baseline requirements. Skip to main is not part of core. It's all good. Area. I think we just went over those. Inline areas are now part of Drupal. You have to enable them, which is really exciting. Because it used to be that if you submitted like a bad email or something, the screen reader would have no knowledge that there's an error because it didn't announce it. And so now, when they submit something wrong, they immediately get an error, the error invalid email address. And they can go back to that form and fix it. It used to be that they would be stuck, and they have to take their tab order back to the top of the page to see the error message. So now one error has been found, subject. And that takes them straight to the subject link where they can fix it.
Website feedback. Your name. You are currently on a text element. Your email address. Required edit text in subject. Required edit text. Message. Required edit text. You are currently on a text area inside a region. Message button. Preview button. Group with 2 items. You are currently on a group inside a region. To interact with items in this group, press Control Option Shift down arrow. Press Send Message button. Send Message button. To error message content information complimentary. Error message content information. You are currently on the content information. To interact with items in this group, press Control Option Shift down arrow. Internal link subject group with 2 items. 2 items interact with group. Internal link subject message.
So
Press Send Message button. Landmarks menu.
that is an example of how a screen reader would take you to the error field instead of being lost. And in the meanwhile, I was typing my new message. So we have improved inline error messages, improved user experience, and the screen reader is aware of the error messages. So an announce is another nice thing, which is really useful for refresh content on a page. Like in finish scroll, Drupal announce will let the screen reader know that there's new content on the page. So Drupal announce is really useful for that. Content authors are really the unsung heroes here. We can give them an accessible site, but they're the ones keep it up. They need to add good alt text, need to add good heading structure, add any subtitles to the caption tracks, and add links. I'm going to skip over. If you need to make a site, don't panic. Just take a step back and evaluate what needs to be done. Kind of go through the site. Think about the touch points. This is just a sample site I took off of Theme Forest. What's going on here? We need a skip to main. Does the logo have alt text? What kind of interaction does the form have? Is an user aware there's a shopping cart? Menus. What's the menu experience with the keyboard? Is the user of a screen reader going to be aware that there are certain menu items? Is the behavior on hover or is it on click? And does the screen reader know how to get to those things? We've got the background image. Is the background image meaningful? And is it described? And can the screen reader get to it? Yes.
How do you recommend doing alt text for an actual background image?
Not the background image. This is not structured as a background. It's an image.
A real
Yeah.
image.
You cannot do all that.
Got it.
So, I expect, this is a text on top of an image. What are those considerations? Can it be readable with a different image that's lighter? Buttons. Do the users know what the button? Do they know the options? I'm just going to jump through here. Tab has also been improved in Drupal 8. They now have tab and order together, so then you can stay within one section. You have better context of tabbing with the keyboard. There's minimized confusion with the screen reader. To wrap it up, design for the lowest common denominator. Don't try to create some fanciest thing that's going to leave out the majority of the audience. Try to create something that the masses can reach, and then it'll be much more accessible. Well, I'm going to have a copy of the accessibility cheat sheet. I'll be tweeted out later this afternoon. Be sure to get me a card if you want a copy of it. This will include a lot of things I went over in this presentation. Fight for accessibility because it's the right thing to do. It's the selfish thing to do. It's easier to start with accessibility than it is to tackle it out later. It's easier to have those perspectives in the beginning than it is to try to undo a lot of code at the end of the project, which adds timeline, budget, and resource and constraint to a project. Do it for the Americans with Disabilities Act. Do it for the users. Do it for yourself. Do it for the lawyer. Do it for usability. Do it for SEO. Do it because it's the right thing to do. Accessibility is for everyone. And thank you. Thank you. I'll be around until 2 o'clock, and I'm heading back, so feel free to grab me if you have any questions. I'll be here if you have questions. But thanks for being such a great audience. And I have some glasses going around that simulate vision impairment, so feel free to put them on and see what it's like to look at our website. So, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Very nice.
It's an issue that
Are you going to be at